Welcome in to the Justin Tucker, Mason Crosby Circle Jerk.
No love
okay.
to Young Hoku.
I mean, it's the Giants. All right. You're right.
And Asian hate.
Welcome into Kickers Are People to audio and video form. No? Okay. All right. It's Wavelengths. NFL Slate just ended. Got the football analyst, Bryce Martino, back. PodThot, Lizzo, side piece. You all know the nicknames. What's his face? Ethan Hartley's back. Crazy day. Everybody on Twitter was saying, like, oh, this was a fun one, blah, blah, blah. I watched the Giants game partially. I watched all the Jets game, unfortunately. And then I watched the Sunday night game. I guess for me, like, it wasn't that entertaining. I thought it was kind of like a snoozer. I mean, the kickers, went off. That was good for me and my brand. But, yeah, Bryce, we'll start with you. You're the only one here that had a team that won today. How was your football Sunday?
It was pretty good. Demolished Deontay's team looked pretty good. I think Josh Allen finally took that step that he needed to this season, got back to his MVP form last year. Pass rush, I think it could have been better. Saw what we needed to our receiving game, could have gotten more out of rushing game. So,
Ethan, you didn't have a team that played today, so it's probably, kind of nice.
Not yet, at least. Where we will fuck the Cowboys tomorrow.
What's this, Brokeback Mountain? The fuck's going on, man?
All right. I mean, I guess I set the precedent, by the way.
You want to talk about how shitty the Washington football team played today?
Oh, shut the fuck up. Let's talk about
I can talk about that all day.
Please do. Please, I would love to hear all your thoughts.
Please, talk about it. I'm not. Fuck.
Yeah, Deontay's out of it today. Probably picked the wrong day to do a podcast.
Oh my god. Go on. I'll follow up.
Yeah, I mean, secondary just dominated the whole game. Besides that 70-yard fluke TD run, Antonio Gibson, yeah, it is a fluke. Gibson pretty much did nothing. We contained him pretty well.
Yep.
Contained Terry McLaurin somewhat.
Yep.
Just completely out-coached Ron Rivera, so not complaining there. I can pretty much say anything and he'll agree. So.
Mm-hmm. I mean, fucking A. I mean, what was that? I mean, no pass rush. I mean, Josh Allen wasn't sacked a single time. Like if you just get him one time, like okay, cool. Then everything's I don't fucking know. I mean, Chase Young ain't doing
that D-line is supposed to be so hyped up to him. They did nothing.
Chase Young ain't carry this team to the postseason. Chase Young ain't doing shit. Montez Sweat ain't doing defensive shit. Player of the year. Fucking
John Allen was probably your best defensive lineman today.
John Allen, love that guy. Deron Payne, love that guy. Matt Ioannidis, he was out. He had nothing to do with this catastrophe. But Jesus Christ, like, can we get a pressure on somebody? I mean, I don't know. Like, I was really high on this team. Obviously I'm kind of biased, well, very biased, to expect them to do at least something. And like, just 43 points. 43 points to a Bills deep offense that's kind of been struggling. Emmanuel Sanders was out there looking like Pittsburgh
Emmanuel Sanders.
Stephon Diggs, he had like 6 catches. He didn't really do too much, but he still kind of went off. Cole Beasley.
He did enough, yeah.
Cole Beasley was fucking Wes Welker back in his Patriot days.
11 catches today.
11 catches. Like, Jesus. You know what? Prime example of my whole mindset during that game, Bryce. You remember when Logan Thomas caught that pass down the middle? I think it was the first quarter. I don't fucking remember. It was all a blur. And he like caught it and broke like 2 tackles. I literally got up and was like, "Oh yeah, Logan, let's go, Logan!" And then he
popped out,
and then he fumbled. I'm just like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ, you just something.
You know, when they put up 14 unanswered points in the first half, it had most of my family nervous. Like, this is another Bills incident, Bills moment.
Like that, at whatever that screen pass by Gibson was amazing. I guess
I don't know how
fluky. I mean,
that was piss poor tackling, honestly.
Oh my God! And then I didn't even see what happened. I think I was taking a shit or something. I don't know. I'd come back and we had the ball again. I'm like, oh shit! And
what the hell was that kickoff though?
Like that fucking, oh my God. And then they score. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they're like, nope, we're just going to let the Bills score again. And then they're going to score
Playing
again.
with your emotions all day.
And then they're going to score again. And then they're just going to score again. They put in Mitch Trubisky.
And he ran for like 25 yards on one carry.
Oh my God. Oh.
Steven, you could probably use Mitch Trubisky right now.
Oh my God. Oh.
I don't know what the Jets could use. They need a prayer. They need more than a prayer.
They need God to come down from.
I don't think God himself could. I don't think God himself can help the New York Jets. They just need to move to Birmingham and just leave New York because
they need to become an XFL team.
Okay, all right.
So XFL, go back to fucking junior varsity.
All right, I didn't.
Football.
You know, a lot of good teams played today. A couple teams went 3-0. A couple surprises, but I guess Jets are second up on the docket. That's fine. Guess this is kind of my time. I guess now.
Yeah, what the hell is going on with Zach Wilson right now?
Okay. When the Jets drafted Zach Wilson, Robert Saleh said to him, "You're not going to be the one to lift up this organization. It's going to be the other way around," meaning that the organization brings Zach Wilson to this, Mormon God status. It's not going to happen in the first 3 games. Mike LaFleur's never done this. This team, the way it's constructed is terrible. So if you're like, oh, Mike LaFleur is this offensive moron, and he only got the job because his brother's a coach and he knows the McVays and the Shanahans, get over it. It's been 3 games. They played the Broncos, who have a good defense. They played the Patriots, who, you expected it to have their struggles. Then you played the Panthers. And before week 1, everybody was like, oh, if we lose to Sam, this says a lot about our team.
Sammy.
Sam Darnold wouldn't do anything with this team either. And then you know what? I'm really happy for him. But people got to stop freaking out. The Jets, everybody's preseason predictions was like, if this team wins 7 games, we'll consider it a success. So losing, okay, scoring 6 points in 2 games and not scoring the last 6 quarters or whatever, yeah, that's bad. I obviously want the team to score and show some kind of improvement. But I don't even want to say pump the brakes because this team wasn't going to be anything that you expected to contend. Everybody was realistically, if this team gets 7 wins, it's a successful season. So the fact that they haven't won 1 in 3 yet, it's get over it. They weren't going to do much anyways. So, but
you
the defense,
at least expect them to compete though.
They could honestly start 0-6 in the first month and a half. Honestly,
you draft your franchise quarterback and you're at least moving somewhere. At least Jacksonville's somewhat competing. They have an offense that can play, unlike yours, which can't put up any sort of points at all.
I mean, look at the offense. The receivers are decent.
Corey Davis, top 100 player.
Where's the improvement?
You don't
None.
see it. Yeah, I mean,
you're bringing in new players. Players are coming back. CJ Mosley's a big piece that's coming back. And while he had some big hits today, it's not going to change a game, obviously, but still, you're getting better talent and the results just aren't changing. In fact, you're probably going in the wrong direction, honestly.
Okay, if you look
go ahead. No, my biggest question with that Jets offense is what are they doing with Denzel Mims? They had first 2 or 3 weeks, they've had two receivers down, either healthy scratch or injury, and he still can't make the field. Without Kalen Cole and without Jamison Crowder, he still can't at least get on special teams. And he was supposed to be this hyped up receiver last year after being drafted in round 2. And then he's not even seeing any targets.
He's either really that bad or the Jets are just pissing away talent.
Yeah, the Mims thing, I don't get. I mean, week 1, he made that one catch that, almost made them come back. I just feel like it's because, okay, if the Jets scored 15 points the past 2 weeks and Mims wasn't there, nobody would care. But because they're not putting up points and Corey Davis has dropped a couple balls questionably.
Elijah Moore's been quiet.
Yeah, Elijah Moore hasn't really gotten in a rhythm. Braxton Berrios has been the best receiver, which, I don't have a problem with. I'm a big Berrios fan. But it's just because the team isn't doing anything. So they're like, oh, why not use Denzel Mims? And then when Mims does nothing, it's like, well, we got no other scapegoats.
I think it'd be a concern either way, but obviously, kind of like you said, if there's at least improvements being made to the offense, then it's not a huge deal because what's working is working, I guess. I mean, you're losing games, but,
And there's not even improvements with offense either, so.
No one's complaining that. I mean, I can't think of a half-decent Jaguars receiver who's not playing. I mean, they're all getting even touches, but you see my point, they're making their improvements and no one's really saying anything about it.
If you break it down to the simplest form, right? Corey Davis is their best receiver. Teams just, put their best corner on him, have a safety in the general region. Rookie quarterback might not always be able to make the read. Corey Davis, essentially, unless he's covered by a cornerback that's 5 inches smaller than him, is taken out of most situations because Corey Davis, although he's good, isn't that, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, game-changing type talent. So you have to rely on these shifty slot guys, Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios, Jeff and Vincent Smith, for whatever reason they're out there. So you're not going to get a lot from them. They go through receivers like Deontay goes through nicknames that we come up for him. And they don't have a fullback yet. The running backs, it was only Michael Carter and Ty Johnson active today. In Carter, he's never gotten, totally up to speed. Ty Johnson's been probably their best offensive player. And the thing I don't get is, Wilson can run. He isn't 2 left feet, but he chooses not even to stay in the pocket, just to roam around. I don't know. Try to call some designated runs for him. Even the Bears did it last year with Trubisky. It might not always, get you the big yardage, but it's something.
It'll help him out of his rookie, early season funk that he's in right now.
And I mean, the tipped drop passes, interceptions that, nobody cares about at the end of the day.
2 touchdowns to 7 picks.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to say that, 5 of them were deflected off of his own guys, but that doesn't matter at the end of the day. But, a couple of them pretty bad.
I mean, so where do you go from here? You just what do you do?
I mean, the only way's up. They have the Titans next week, and then the Falcons in London, and a bye week. So I don't know.
You waking up early for that game?
Winnable.
Yeah,
should be.
Yes,
they played down to the Giants level to the point where they needed their kicker to step in and win them the game. Which, I mean, what's going on with Kyle Pitts?
Yeah, where's he been all season? They They only have like 2 targets on that offense, and they're only using 1.
Yeah,
Generational
Cordell
tight end
Patterson.
talent, like my ass. Like he's just sitting around.
Him and Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, Calvin. Yeah.
I mean, the Falcons. I mean, what? I mean, they barely beat the Giants today, right? I mean, what's there?
Yeah, but you can't say it like that. You can't say the Falcons barely beat the Giants. It's the Giants couldn't beat the Falcons.
His targets have gone down every game. Kyle Pitts. 8 week 1, 6 week 2, only 3 today.
3 targets. Jesus Christ.
That's terrible.
I mean, where? Let me look at this. I didn't watch that game. I was already watching.
Do you blame it on the ugliest head coach in the NFL or what?
Yes.
I mean, it's probably mostly Matt Ryan's fault too.
Matt Ryan. Fuck Matt Ryan. Fuck you.
I can't believe they haven't replaced him. Like, I can't believe they didn't replace him last year.
Is there? I mean, if unless they took a quarterback in the draft, which a lot of people said they should have. I mean, I mean, so the future for Matt Ryan is really bleak because obviously he's not playing to the level that we've known him to play at. And if I'm correct, I'm not a real big college football guy. Bryce, you probably know this better. This isn't a great quarterback draft anyway. So,
no, it's not like last year at all.
So, like,
you can look at the Heisman race and just tell that
like,
alone. I
mean,
it's like all defensive pass rusher guys,
right? Yeah. So, no, the Heisman race. It's like all running backs, right? Because I remember it's like a guy from Syracuse and just like a bunch of
there's still quarterbacks, but they're not like.
It's not like it was last year. Every single
they're like good college quarterbacks, but they're not like NFL game changers kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's like Matt Ryan's bad now. This upcoming quarterback draft isn't that good. So I mean, obviously you're not going to go get rid of Matt Ryan to bring in another veteran because there really isn't that veteran out there. So like, what do they do? Like, are they really giving the ugliest head coach in the league the best chance to win?
Yeah, but you go to a team that's drafting 4th overall, you know that you're not going to contend. And you knew that you shouldn't have taken a tight end. It was the same thing that happened with the Giants when they took Saquon. They should have taken a quarterback, but they were like, oh, this is a generational talent. We have to have him. But, like, you don't.
I'd say running back is different because they never followed up with improving the offensive line. Like tight end's a little different because like you don't need that. I wasn't opposed to the Pitts pick. I mean,
no, I wasn't either.
Yeah,
I think you need to have a good offensive line and good receivers before you get your quarterback too. But I think it's becoming almost too late.
Yeah, you were going to lose Julio Jones either way, so it wasn't like the worst idea to go and get, again, what people consider one of the greatest tight end prospects ever, maybe. But, I mean, their defense is still pretty bad. It's just Grady Jarrett out there seems to be the only person doing something. There's almost a pass interference called on any sort of deep shot to any defensive back. It's poor.
They have no cap space either because they gave it all to these average pass rushers and corners.
Yeah.
Dante Fowler, but
there you go. Paying average players great money. That's what will do you in.
The offensive line is slowly declining.
Jaguars did that back in 2017. Look where it got them. They're still trying to rebuild.
Exactly.
Worked out 1 year though. They should have fucking done something about Blake Bortles. But like honestly, like I'm not opposed to even how like they built their team either. Like drafting Leonard Fournette. They had a good offensive line at the time. And they just kept stacking the defense, and that's what led them to the AFC Championship 1 year. And the only thing that held them back was just not improving the quarterback. I feel like it's not a terrible, formula to go by. And all these teams like drafting like quarterbacks, it's like, what are you doing? Like you don't have the pieces around you to make that quarterback better because whether they are able to improve without them or not, like you still need it at the end of the day. Like you're seeing guys like, Baker Mayfield worked out because what did they do? They already had some pieces. They picked like Myles Garrett the year beforehand, and they
had crazy money to spend in free agency.
Yeah, and
got Jarvis and Odell.
Yeah, and Baker isn't the best quarterback per se, but he gets the job done. So their formula worked.
Yeah, and because they used their money the right way. They got
not spending on 35-year-old washed up players.
Yeah, they spent
it also worked out in the draft too. I mean, they got the Houston pick to pick Denzel Ward as a franchise corner. But yeah, I mean, sure, like they spend money on the right guys, but they pick well too.
Yeah, and they built the line not in half an off season. They got Jack Conklin, and then they brought in Wirfs.
Jedrick Wills in the draft.
Yeah, Jedrick Wills. And then, Austin Hooper the same offseason, running the 2 tight end set Stefanski likes, and bringing in Stefanski at the right time after the misfire that was the Freddie Kitchens saga.
Well, it was a misfire of like 50 coaches, so let's not say that act like it was all on Freddie Kitchens.
I mean,
who
it was a pretty similar team, and Kevin Stefanski took him to the playoffs.
Well, who was the head coach before him? Hugh Jackson. I didn't work out too well.
Yeah, but they also didn't have the team that they did then.
No, it was RG3 and Brandon Weeden.
That's my fucking guy.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson gets the same treatment that Sam Hinkie does. He had to be there for all the dirty work, and then now, they kind of get some benefits, but not enough love.
Is anybody here concerned about the Kansas City Chiefs being 1 or 2 at this point?
No.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, they just came off a Super Bowl run and spent huge amounts of money on that offensive line. You would think they would improve dramatically because they already had the pieces on offense and defense the last 2-3 years. All they needed was a revamped offensive line. Now they can't run the ball. Mahomes hasn't been able to pass Hartley this year.
Nope.
Chargers outplayed them by a lot this week somehow.
Justin Herbert's a stud, man. I said he should have been the second quarterback taken off of the board last year. He wasn't. No. Was he?
No, it was Tua.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. I said he should have been picked over Tua. He wasn't. But go on. That'd been good.
No, that's pretty much all I had.
The problem with the Chiefs is that these moves look great on paper and they don't work out. Like Orlando Brown, everyone was like, "Oh my God, they fleeced the living shit out of them." And
I mean, they did. Yeah,
he sucks protecting the pass. Like he just doesn't fit their scheme at all. Like it worked. It worked with the Ravens because Lamar runs and they like to run a lot in general. Now it's like completely different, and this proves the point that schemes are extremely important, and he just doesn't fit it. It's the same with Frank Clark. Look at what he's doing. Nothing. And they spent a first-round pick and a franchise tag.
Yeah, and then a lot of money to re-sign him.
Overdrafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire too.
That too.
Now he had an overhyped rookie year. Now he's down the drain.
I wouldn't even say like overhyped. I mean, I guess, early in the season, but then he fizzled out soon after just because he's not good in the pass. So how is he's not going to get a ton of reps anyway, because again, they like the pass. He's just not that dynamic is what people like to say. So yeah, I'd say their moves have been average. I wouldn't say this was something you could have predicted, obviously, but it's not entirely surprising that this has kind of happened just based on how their moves work and how the history has happened in the past. Because their
season's still early, but I don't think they contend for a Super Bowl this year.
I'd say they can still win a playoff game. I think that's still a pretty good bet to make. But
they'll win a playoff game. I don't know if they make it all the way this year, though.
Yeah, that's certainly in question. when beforehand it was way more guaranteed.
I don't know. Bryce, you and I know just about as well as anybody. Those last couple of years in New England, we were like, oh, this is finally it. And then, they just win another Super Bowl. It's 2 games in September. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has never lost in September. But if they lose 2 games a month for the rest of the year, yeah, I'll be concerned because that's 10 games. But they're fine.
Their other problem is if any one of the big 3 get hurt, offensively, the big 3, I mean, that's huge. Like,
well, Tyreek Hill hasn't done much last week.
That too.
This
like,
week.
If one of them's a dud, then it's a struggle, and clearly.
What do they do if Mahomes gets hurt too? Because they don't have a run game to fall back on if they do lose Mahomes, and they don't have a backup that's gonna keep the same momentum that Mahomes will.
I mean, you could say that with almost any contender. It's just the fact that they've really cut down like the spread. Like losing Sammy Watkins was huge because he was a pretty good number 2 receiver to have to, space the defense. And now it's just like, it's not working because, it's just Tyreek and McCole Hardman, who I've never liked ever. I mean, he's boom or bust every single week and hasn't boomed in a while.
No, they overdrafted him.
All right, so at this stage, end of Sunday, week 3, does this win say more for the Chargers, or does the loss say more about the Chiefs?
Chargers.
Chiefs.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously, credit deserves to be given to the Chargers because Justin Herbert did outclass Patrick Mahomes because some of his throws were pretty bad, and that's due to his lack of timing in the pocket to be able to throw, and just the fact that he missed in general. I mean, the very last play, that Kelsey throw was garbage, and there was another before that was pretty bad. So,
yeah, what do they have? 3 INTs and a fumble recovery?
I think 2 maybe.
Yeah, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but still, too many turnovers for a team or an offense really that many say is the best, no question. But I think I would probably have to go with the Chiefs just because of how things are shaping out, and as these moves that everyone thinks are so great are kind of starting to really fall short of expectations. But really, I think a definitive answer is given down the line depending on how both of these teams move forward from this, because let's say Chiefs win the next 6 straight, like no one's going to talk about it, and if the Chargers lose 5 straight, or really if the Chargers go either way, then that game could be focused less on like, oh, Chargers have been this good all along. Like I said, it really just depends.
Could have a similar effect to a couple of years ago when the Raiders beat the Chiefs. And that's, one of the many times we thought that the Raiders were for real, and then they didn't. And then the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. So, it's early. But one game that...
you can't overreact yet.
Yeah. I mean, you can. It's kind of fun too. So that
was also one game against a mediocre team. This is back-to-back weeks against games that they should have won.
Yeah. It's September.
There's certainly concerns to take away. That's what I think everybody should be doing. But it's whether they stay permanent or not.
Speaking of concerns, though, Mac Jones sucks.
Really, coming from you, the Jets fan.
All the rookie quarterbacks have played bad this year. I don't know what it is.
Somehow Trevor Lawrence is the best looking one, and he's thrown 5 touchdowns for 7 interceptions.
Trey Lance the best one. You can't beat that efficiency.
Totally.
He's got like a 40%.
You want to say Mac Jones sucks? Let's talk about the Chicago Bears.
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Bro. Justin Fields got sacked, 9 times today?
9 or 8 times. Literally, Justin Tucker's game-winning kick equated for more offense than the Bears that
He
entire
was
game.
6 of 20, 68 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 9 sacks. 9
Bro.
sacks.
No wonder they keep wanting to go back to Dalton. You can't put your future quarterback in that kind of heat every single week, game after game.
That offensive line is terrible. I mean,
Yeah,
they still have.
They've done nothing to it.
They still have Jason Peters starting. Well, he was new this year, but the fact that they give him the starting job in general says a lot, because as an Eagles fan who watched like the last 3 years of his career, he was just not a starter, obviously.
Couldn't stay healthy, sucked in pass blocking.
Yeah. And the fact that they still find a reason to give him a job, it's just, I mean, you don't even have to look at the rest of the offensive line to know that it's not talented, let alone the 9 sacks in this game. So, I mean, there's a lot not to like.
42 plays, 47 yards of total offense, 6 first downs. 6 first downs. That's impressively embarrassing.
What do you say? He was sacked 9 times?
9 times.
5 of those came from Myles Garrett too. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, he had 4.5. Awuso, JOK had half a sack. Clowney had 2 sacks. Rodney Jr. had a sack, and
that pass rush is nasty.
I mean,
against a line like that, honestly, I'm not surprised that more people knew this would be coming. Like it's Myles Garrett against Jason Peters. Like, are you serious? Like that's a recipe for disaster.
Old ass Jason Peters. Jesus Christ, why is he still playing football?
So we just
still getting paid millions to do nothing.
Yeah. So we just want to skim right over Mac Jones. We don't really want to talk about that and how basically everybody thought the Patriots would win and the Saints are bad and this and that. And then Mac Jones went from throwing like 23 times to 50.
Yeah, what happened with the Saints?
They're not that bad.
I think they're still figuring it out. I think it's hard to tell which game will be the outlier.
They have no receivers either, so you can't put full confidence in
they finally started throwing to Callaway, which is great. I mean, everybody preseason was all over that guy, and he sucked for the first 2 weeks. Yeah. But, they gave the ball to Kamara 24 times. That's also great, when last week it was 5. I mean, understandably, most of that in the second half was just like, just kick the starters out at this point. But I mean, I still think both of these teams are figuring it out. I don't want to raise the red flag on either of them and say, I don't think either's a playoff team at the end of the day, so there's not much stock into it. Obviously, they're highly recognized franchises in general who are in these weird spots. So it's important for, I guess, the NFL's sake, and future and beyond. But in this moment, it's not as important. But yeah, I still think both these teams are figuring out, and it's hard to say right now.
They aren't that bad either, considering where they were cap-wise last year.
Oh, yeah.
They were cap hell last year, right? And they were supposed to be cap
negative $100 million, and that's terrible.
So out of the 2 teams, which do you expect to potentially bounce back and, I guess, go on some type of a streak to, I guess, right the ship, I guess you can say?
It's the Saints. The Patriots were supposed to win this game, and everybody said that the Saints were so bad, and the Patriots, it's.
I'd say that's just recency bias and how bad they were, considering what we saw week 1. I think that's an overreaction to say that it was a lock for the Patriots to win. I mean, you would assume a franchise ran by Sean Payton coached by Sean Payton would figure it out.
Yeah, I was about to say the Patriots were favored by 3. So
yeah, that's not a huge margin, obviously.
So it's not supposed to be a blowout.
I can't believe the 3 of you are like the Patriots being 1-2. Like it's not that surprising that
after spending $150 million in free agency, they're 1-2.
Like I feel like we should be making a much bigger deal about this. it feels like the sky is falling.
I mean,
Like last year, it was like, oh, we don't have any money in Cam, blah, blah, blah. But like this team isn't, the defense is really good. I'll give them that. The running back situation, you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, but like
James White went off on a card today, so
Wayne Diesel still picked him to win the Super Bowl.
The Diesel
so
man.
people obviously still thought that this team was like good and going to compete with Buffalo.
No one in their right mind, Wayne, but no one in their right mind thought they were going to contend for a Super Bowl.
I'm just saying what people were saying.
What are you reading?
People thought that the Patriots were like still good and that Mac Jones was just,
what are you
an easy
reading?
seam.
People you mean one person by people, right? And that's Wayne.
No
one else.
People really thought that the Patriots were going to be good. I'm surprised
I don't know what you're reading, but anybody who thought that is just smoking crack and just writing up bullshit.
Say you're sorry to Wayne first.
They're always going to be third in the division, and I still think they will be.
No.
Who? The Patriots?
Patriots. Yeah.
Third?
Over Miami.
No.
I mean,
Miami has their own problems. Tua stinks. I understand he didn't play today, but they don't have their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, Tua sucks. Jacoby Brissett.
Their offensive line still sucks. Their run game is ass.
Yeah, so
they finally threw the ball to Gesicki today.
Yeah, where's he been all season?
The defense.
Ever since they benched Fitzpatrick, he's been gone. You haven't seen him at all.
I mean, well, when
they gave up 31 points to Oakland, and people said they're not Oakland. I always keep fucking saying Oakland, the Las Vegas Raiders, and people still say they have one of the best secondaries in the league.
Let me see. How many wins did I have the Raiders winning?
They have one of the highest paid secondaries in the league, but it's not the best at all.
No, I'm not saying it's the best. I think it's one of. I think top 3-5 is a fair statement.
That's a good place to put it, but I don't think they're number one right now. They haven't shown enough in the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't say right now they're playing like a top 3 or 5. I'm just saying, like, on paper going into this season, I think it's a fair guess to say that that's where they were, and they've played nothing like that, which is why I don't think they're the second best team in the AFC.
No.
Let me see. I actually had the Dolphins finishing tied for third. I had the Dolphins at 11 wins. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I think I had them at 10 wins. Patriots at 8.
I had Buffalo at 14, the Dolphins and the Patriots at 11 each.
So. I honestly put down random numbers in that suggestion or in the prediction thing.
Wait, so when I said that people thought the Patriots were going to be a good team, and then Deontay said no, and then said he thought they'd get 11 wins.
I mean, their average.
11 wins constitutes a good team.
11 wins is playoffs for most teams.
What did I say?
Would easily be playoffs in the NFC East.
You said 9. Yeah, you had them at 9 and 8.
First, I had 9. Yeah,
I did?
No,
me. I had 9.
Oh, all right.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't think that's terrible.
I mean, I could still. I mean, they have a third place schedule this year, so they could potentially, bounce back, win a couple games. Because let me see the remaining schedule. Let me see it. Who do they have going forward? They have they have Tampa next week. Then they play Houston, Dallas. They play the Jets. Going to beat them by 50. Chargers, Panthers, Browns, Falcons, Titans. I mean, they don't have a great schedule, but they definitely have some winnable games. I mean, when you have Miami and Indianapolis. What's up with Indy, by the way? I know they have a lot of injuries, T.Y. Hill's obviously out.
They always have a lot of injuries.
Quentin Nelson is made of glass.
But
they just got Eric Fisher back
injury.
Too. Carson Wentz sprained both his ankles on one play.
That's just fucking.
How bad of luck do you need to sprain both your ankles on one play?
I think the only guy I've seen have worse luck on one play was another former Eagle, Darren Sproles. He tore his ACL and broke his wrist at the same time. That's the only other player I can.
It was
think
his
of
arm.
Yeah, I remember he
Which
tore it. I know
way harder to do.
Yeah, but I know for a fact he tore his ACL. I know that for a fact, but he broke something else. So just some of that and those cheesesteaks that's getting people injured.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I unfortunately think it's time to give up the Colts challenging the Titans.
Yeah,
which definitely. Really stinks. I thought Carson was going to help them a lot, but
fuck.
I thought behind that offensive line, he would at least stay healthy more than he ever did with Philly. That's our window, though.
I had them at 8 wins. I can't buy into a team.
Some people said 11.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be like pretty good.
On paper, they look good, but that's on paper.
I cannot buy into a team led by Carson Wentz. I just cannot do it. It's not necessarily his fault. It's somewhat his fault, but
has to be his fault. Dude got a huge upgrade of weapons compared to what he had in Philadelphia.
I mean, well, T.Y.
They're still 0-3.
Well, so I know they played the Colts last week. I mean, the Colts. They played
the Colts. Played the Colts.
Last week.
Oh, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, fuck you, Hartley. They played the Rams last week, and who did they play before that?
Seahawks.
I mean,
so they've had kind of a hard schedule then.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, let's not say that like they've had some sort of cakewalk, but like for you to come out of that 0-3 for a lot, I
playing
heard
against September, Russell Wilson, that's never easy.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't give a damn what anybody said about the Patriots. There were people saying that they thought the Colts were legit Super Bowl contenders, and for them to be 0-3 already.
All right. Well, you and Steven are reading the exact same thing.
I heard a lot of people, especially Colin Cowherd. Yeah, he definitely was saying that the Colts are Super
No one
Bowl
listens to Cowherd anyway. Just putting that out there.
Fucking dumbass.
Not necessarily disagreeing, but
I'd bang his daughter.
We all would.
All right. We're talking about Super Bowl contenders. I guess let's talk about the MVPs too. Kyler Murray pulls it out in Jacksonville. Matt Prater kind of didn't want that to happen, but Kyler did. Kings of the NFC West right now.
That was a fantastic kick.
So, you guys want to say sorry about Arizona or give it another week?
Give it another month. You know what?
I still think they're the retirement home of the NFL.
All right, so they played Tennessee, Minnesota, and Jacksonville, right? That's not bad, but that's not the best.
They're not beating all-star teams, Super Bowl contenders.
So their next 3 games are the Rams, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Browns.
Cardinals can't play themselves. Teams can't play themselves, Deontay. This isn't
Jesus Christ.
OTAs
the Rams,
Lizzo.
Fuck you. The Cardinals play the Rams, the 49ers, and the Browns. Okay, that's their next 3 games.
6-0.
After what we saw from the Rams all season, I don't think so.
AJ Green looks like
2-1.
2014, not 2014, like 2015 AJ Green. JJ Watt's not doing anything. I can't lie about that. Defense is holding up. Next week would be a big test, but
who do they beat, Bryce?
They lose to Rams.
And
they beat the Niners, and who else did you say? Cleveland?
Cleveland hasn't looked the prettiest either.
No, they haven't.
Where do they play those games? Do they play in the desert for how many of them?
So they play in LA.
No.
Yeah,
okay. Maybe not.
Yeah, they play in LA versus the Rams, and then they play at home versus the 49ers, and they play
that's easy
against Cleveland.
Yeah. If they can beat San Francisco, yeah. But they got to win one of the road games.
San Francisco, I think, is third place easy until they start Lance.
You know what, man? I've been noted to be a really, 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 really high believer in the San Francisco 49ers.
They have a good roster.
Yes, they do.
They had a better roster in the Super Bowl, and guess who fucked it up for them? Jimmy G throwing with his eyes closed.
I thought you were going to say Shakira.
I was going to say Shanny. Fuck Shanny. Fuck him and his dad.
Jimmy G dates porn stars. He doesn't need any more pussy in his life.
Okay, we learned with Justin Fields that, maybe the new shiny toy that can run really well may not work right away. That being said, Bryce, is Garoppolo holding this team back potentially down the line?
100%. I don't think he's ever been the guy. He's been paid like their future. For some reason, they paid him $150 million. But I think not playing Trey Lance right now is holding this team back from two more wins this season.
Okay. I mean, is he ready though? Because I saw in
he's more ready.
Doesn't matter if he's ready.
Even if he's not ready, he's going to have the best. Going to be better than Jimmy G.
He's going to be playing. He's going to be playing in one of the best offenses outside the quarterback in the entire league. A great offensive line. They're finally throwing to Ayuk and Kittle, and they still have all the other weapons, even with all these injuries. Trey Sermon looked good. Like
this scheme fits. He has Trey it all. It's not even Jimmy G.
It's not even much of the matters is he ready? Like he's gonna do fine at the very least.
Are you sure?
He's gonna do better than Jimmy G at the very least.
Are you sure, EDP?
You Hartley, like what? I'm trying to have a real conversation. You over here insulting me. It's like
real conversation by fucking.
I had to give insults to Hartley for the week.
If nothing else, when Garoppolo lines up, he's not running. When you're calling guys in motion, you just gotta follow them and not worry about Jimmy at all. If Trey Lance is in there, that play that they
you don't know what he's gonna do
exactly. So it gives like the unknown. So
he can run, he could throw a pick. You never know, man.
And that's why it really doesn't matter the kind of mistakes he makes. He was way more of a gamble every single play than Jimmy Garoppolo.
So
you moved up to number 3 for a reason. Why don't you play him?
Okay, so everybody here would say obviously his ceiling is 10 times higher than Jimmy G. It's not even close.
Well, that's just because we don't know what Trey's going to be totally. Like, that's why I think that Jimmy's still playing, because they know what they're going to get from him, and they're more comfortable with his ceiling.
So essentially what it is Shanahan's and them are playing scared, because if Trey Lance goes out there and wets himself, then that's their job. They're fired. So would you say that's a reason why?
They're not fired.
No, they're not going to get fired, but you can't go back to Jimmy after that.
No.
Fires ass. Fuck Shanahan.
Like, if
thing is, you can't have $150 million backup either.
Once Trey Lance is in, he's in. You can't go back. So Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get,
this is how I see it.
A third chance.
So when do you play him?
They won the first 2 games, and I think that's why they're still starting him. Now, you could talk about all you want on how they won those games. Obviously, the Detroit one was ugly right up until the end of the game. The Philadelphia one was ugly for the entire game. And one could say Trey Lance was in the game, it'd be way different. But to them and the GM and the owner, it's a win. And I think that's all they really care about at the end of the day. So obviously they lost tonight against Aaron Rodgers. You would kind of expect that. It was close. So I guess you could say, that's a win, maybe. I mean, this Packers team is still very weird to figure out. I'd say whoever they play next, depending on how those go, I think that's when the question really forms of who's going to start. But they're winning.
I give them to week 10 to start Trey Lance.
I wouldn't even say that long.
What are you thinking? Like week 6, week 7?
I would have to look at the schedule, which I don't have in front of me. But
I don't necessarily I don't necessarily think it's a quote unquote time frame because I know Trey Lance has way more tools than Tua did, but I guess they kind of had this like idea like, okay, at this time we're going to start Tua, right? And you saw when they played him, he sucked. So like I feel like it's just a matter of
they're in an entirely different place in an entirely different division though.
Yeah, I'm
they
not
shouldn't
sure
have
that's
played
a
Tua
good.
when they did.
Yeah, so
that's another thing, and that's why their wins, regardless how they win them, is really all that matters at the end of the day because that's what's going to get you to the playoffs.
Exactly. So
there's no extra points given if you win by 30 or 40 or whatever. Like
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's either one of two options. It's either when Trey Lance either in practice he just completely beats out Jimmy G and he just flat out just killing him, or Jimmy G is just shitting himself in the games. There's no necessary time frame like okay, week 7, this is when he's starting no matter what. I don't feel like that's the right way.
No, there is a time frame.
I think
there wasn't a time frame for the
Lamar.
Miami Dolphins because they weren't competing on the same level. The San Francisco 49ers are no question in the hardest division in the NFL. And whether they're winning game, and as long as they're winning games, Jimmy G is going to be in the game. As soon as that stops, then you start the question. Now, I understand your point now. There's no like definitive week because you obviously can't predict the future and how their games are going to go. But it's good. I'd say as soon as they hit 500 or somewhat, maybe a game over. I mean, again, it really depends on trends. Like if they start 4-1 now and then lose like 4 straight or whatever. Like again, like it's just really hard to tell, but it's still a very short leash for them. So I wouldn't say it's like a season-long timeline, but there's still a timeline in the fact that, listen, a change, we're losing, we're gonna have to make a change quick because every other team is right there, and we cannot afford to drop a game by continuing to extend the leash for Jimmy Garoppolo because, he's, whatever excuse they choose to come up with.
It'll be games that, like consecutive games in a row, that Garoppolo either costs them the game on his shoulders or comes very close and they feel like they don't want to play that electric chair type of football anymore.
Yeah, it could be. I just think it's when they start losing because that's all that matters at the end of the day in this division.
But I agree with you.
I think the earlier they let him take his lumps, the better it is for his future.
That's also a point I would agree with, but it's still the toughest division and you're just trying to get as many wins as possible.
I mean, you aren't contending for a Super Bowl though, so why not take your lumps as a team now? So to figure out what you need to improve on this offseason through a draft and free agency.
I don't think they're that bad though. Their defense is still filled with talent.
Not the secondary.
Let's say hypothetically next week 49ers play, they get blown out. They know they have a looming divisional game with the Cardinals coming up the week after. Is that when you're like, okay, we're potentially 2 games down in the division. It's not, we have nothing to lose and everything to gain, and then they go for it? Could you see a situation like that happening?
In a blowout scenario where it's mainly Jimmy G who cost them the game, like, he has.
Say they lose by 3 possessions, 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bench him.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, he's not, just like we all said, he's not setting the world on fire at the moment. But, if you feel like you would do better with Trey Lance, and obviously you put him in. But to say that there's this magical time frame, I just completely disagree with.
Like I said before, you traded up to 3 to take Trey Lance. Why don't you play him now to see what you have in him to see or to build for next year?
I mean,
because you can't see what you have on him or what you have with him on the bench.
I'm sure they still view themselves as Super Bowl contenders, and that's why, because they know at this moment in time right now, they believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is better, which is why they're starting him. Now, the future is whatever the hell you want to say about it, but I'm sure as hell they're not worrying about it right now because they should, and they are believing that they could win this division and maybe make a Super Bowl run.
All right, let's get to the last couple of games we missed. All right, let's start Dolphins Raiders. Like I said, kickers would determine this one. Jacoby Brissett kind of, maybe did more than Tua would have. Daniel Carson won a game again for the Raiders.
Offensive coordinators aren't working out in Miami.
Yeah, Miami just, I don't know. It's like 28 points without Tua. It's like it's good, but then do you think they would have gotten 28 without him or with him? I don't think they would have.
No. It's weird because you saw last year when Miami put in Fitz. I mean, when Miami put in Tua, they started 3-3 with Fitz, and then they went 10-6. So obviously they were still winning games, but there was just times where it felt like when Tua was in, the ball just didn't move, and like there wasn't any real offense. And I feel like it's kind of gone the same way now. I mean, even when they put in Jacoby last week, they got shut out, and I don't know.
But that was against Buffalo defense, so you can't really judge that against a
top 5
up and coming. What's that?
I said top 5 defense right there.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know. I don't think Miami's that good. I definitely overrated them coming into the season.
I think everyone did.
I mean, they had kind of subpar quarterback play last year, and they still won 10 games. So I feel like with the whole offseason, with the same coaching staff, and you're just adding in better weapons, I thought they were going to do better. Boy, I was wrong.
I don't know what they were thinking with co-offensive coordinator either. That just was not working out at all.
Yeah, you'd maybe expect change in play calling or whatever, but yeah, Tua week by week looks more not the guy. Even today, when he didn't play, obviously, but like Jacoby Brissett at least put up 20 points, forced them to overtime, and punched in the points to send them to overtime. I don't think he does that at all, and I think he's just slowly more and more. I wouldn't even say slowly. I think it's picking up quickly just based on the short leash that starting quarterbacks have in the NFL now, especially young starting quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, it's still hard to say with all this Deshaun Watson drama and how his legal case goes and whether the price stays or goes down. But yeah.
Rapid fire. The last 3 teams in the NFC North, 2 of them faced off in the big catch-up battle. Cincinnati came out on top. Jamar Chase remembers how to catch the football. You said it earlier about Chargers Chiefs. Does this say more about the Bengals, or does it say more about Pittsburgh losing to the Bengals at home?
So it's less about the Steelers. Absolutely.
This is not the same Steelers team that we saw week 1 that demolished Buffalo. I don't know what happened with their offense and pass rush. Losing TJ Watt was a big loss for them, but they still have other elite pass rushers on their team that aren't getting the job done. They have a good secondary that's not getting the job done either.
Yeah, Big Ben
isn't doing anything.
He's extremely predictable. The only real bright spot is Najee Harris, and I guess just because of how dynamic he is and catching and running, that he's another weapon for Big Ben to throw to, but that obviously doesn't help any of the receivers or tight ends.
He's not mobile anymore either, like he was years ago.
Absolutely not.
If you look at Najee Harris's numbers, he had 14 carries for 40 yards. You draft a first. Here's my thing. Their offensive line last year was not good enough to be able to run the ball effectively. And you don't necessarily improve it. You just add a different running back.
Draft a better
running back. Yeah, and you're getting the same results. He had great receiving numbers, but he's a running back. So obviously the running numbers aren't that good. He had half of the amount of yards he had on one play. So essentially, 13 for 20? That's just over 1 a pop.
PPR owners had to love that game today.
Oh, I did.
28 touches.
So did I, yeah.
19. 19 to fucking 8. What the hell is going on in Pittsburgh? I didn't even see that. Oh.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty. I mean, it's still hard to tell. I mean, the defense clearly isn't doing a good job if you're allowing that shit of an offensive line with a dude still with one leg, allow him to play like he did in college. And yeah, it's not looking pretty. But in terms for the Bengals, I mean, I guess, you know, signs are pointing in the right direction. I don't think it's the only
Zach
thing
Taylor in the future.
Yeah, the only thing obviously he's going to get fired regardless. I think if this team wants to go anywhere up, even with today's, you know, upset win. But the only thing I really see staying consistent is Jamar Chase getting at least a touchdown, or at least touchdown opportunities. I mean, he's looking like the real deal. You know, even in the stacked wide receiver locker room. T. Higgins didn't play today, and you know, while Chase did see an increase in targets and an extra touchdown, you know, Joe Burrow still likes to throw, and that's going to stick. But nothing changes until that he gets better protection, obviously, and he stays healthy, hopefully.
Yeah, Jamar Chase has 4 touchdowns. Penei Sewell has 0. No, nobody thought that was funny. Because, like, you know, offensive tackle wouldn't catch the ball. Okay.
Obviously, Steven, he's not going to get a fucking touchdown. He's an offensive lineman.
I'm just saying, like, you know.
This is beginners football now. Come on.
Yeah, jeez. Ravens really like to win it in the last minute, huh? They don't.
Justin Tucker. Jesus Christ.
That's probably the best kick I've seen in my life.
Of all time. It's the best kick of all time.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
66-yarder for the win. I mean, I definitely feel like I don't want to, like, no, this is just true. I feel like if it was anywhere besides a dome, I feel like that might not have been good. But then again, to have the leg power to at least hit the crossbar from 66 that's just phenomenal.
Power of the crow hop.
I mean, how do you have to feel if you're Dan Campbell? You think you have your first career win as a head coach in the bag, and you lose on the longest kick in NFL history? That's just.
He's just gonna have to get a triple latte tomorrow.
I mean, I already said
formula is clear to throw to TJ Hawkinson, and obviously they didn't do that today. Only 2 targets, 10 yards.
That defense is terrible against tight ends too.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he didn't go off for way more than he did, like 100 yards, 2 TDs.
Yeah, in terms of fantasy, and I'm sure actual real football numbers follow the same. They're like the worst in tight end numbers. So yeah, Detroit is still going to be Detroit. I think they're better than people talk about. Defense is garbage, obviously, but offensively, I think they have a top.
That team is better than what the win-loss record is showing.
Top 10 offensive line.
Yeah, I'd even say like top 5, top 7. I'd say is their lowest.
They've hung tough with 3 teams that we all thought would be in the playoffs. So
yeah, and
it says a lot about them and their, you know, ragtag group of Motor City players.
They have a really good running back duo. Obviously, nobody a wide receiver, especially with Tyrell Williams hurt. But I mean, if you have 3 decent weapons,
to see if it's come in.
Is that gonna, or his numbers gonna be sustainable? Absolutely not. So
no.
Yeah, I mean, he still has 3 decent people to throw to because Williams and Swift can both catch, and we've seen that. So, I mean, he's got a decent system, but I still think they're like a 4 or 5 win team, maybe a little lower now that they've dropped the first 3. But
yeah, but they wouldn't have won one of these 3 anyways.
Yeah, give or take.
And then the Vikings finally got one. Came back against Seattle.
It's about time.
Russell Wilson, I guess, you know, setting up for another
that
magical.
Too good to.
I wouldn't even count the Seahawks out yet. Like maybe they won't win the division because they're already a couple back, but they're gonna win like 7 straight. You already know that it's gonna happen. So
where Where?
September Russ is gonna run out soon. Always
But
does.
yeah.
It happens every year.
Well, yeah, it's already the 27th. So
He puts $1 million into his body and still can't figure out a way to keep up later in the year.
I don't know. We just had to mention it so we could get all of them. All right.
Kirk is still Kirk. I mean, it's going to be.
He's looked good so far this season too.
Kirk Cousins. Good old Kirk.
But it's not like we haven't seen. It's not like he has any like real high upside. Like we know what Kirk Cousins does. We have a Kirk Cousins fan in the room right now, or at least when he played.
Oh, fuck Kirk Cousins.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, fuck Kirk Cousins. He left us because we couldn't offer enough money.
Threw for 30 touchdowns one time. Fucking idiot. Fuck Kirk Cousins.
Well,
all right.
I agree. I don't think he really deserved that contract, let alone fully guaranteed.
No,
but
fuck, you would have shit on me for not paying Kirk Cousins. The worst.
It's still hard to see where the Vikings could land, just because no Dalvin Cook today, and defense still hasn't entirely figured itself out, despite all the talent.
One more question for you guys, and I'm going to let you go. I'm going to start with Bryce. Bryce, who was your drop your nuts on the table, this is my game guy of the week?
I gotta go Allen here. It's a biased MVP award. But he had 5 total touchdowns, like 358 yards, and he finally looked like the best game of his career since last season, I should say.
Josh Allen.
No, Deontay's still salty. Don't listen to him.
I'm not.
Lizzo, what about you?
Lizzo's still salty about that loss.
I'm not. You said.
It's okay. Just eat a cupcake. You'll feel better.
Fuck you. What was the question?
Drop your nuts on the table, guy of the week. Come on, keep up.
Oh, easy.
Gotta stop texting underage girls. Come on.
I'm not texting you, bitch. The easy. It's Black Jesus. It's Black Jesus, aka Aaron Rodgers. I knew as soon as they left him more than 15 seconds that he was going to come down and win that game. It's easily Aaron Rodgers. That's the fucking guy.
Justin Herbert. Go Ducks.
Oh, you're telling me I'm biased. That's the most.
You want me to be real
you
biased?
didn't have
I'll say Jalen Hurts tomorrow when we rape the Cowboys.
Yeah,
all right.
Devontae Smith better go off.
Devontae Smith better go off because I picked him in fantasy.
Oh yeah. Speaking of fantasy, Steven, I kicked your fucking ass today. How do you feel, man? Kicked your fucking. You might even score 100.
Probably beat me up in real life too. Don't see me bragging about it. You probably got softer lips and can love a woman
I still have
better,
the best
but-
season. I still have the best win of the season over Deontay last week, where I raped him and then reported it to HR.
All right, Justin Tucker was the best player of the week. Mason Crosby's a close second, followed up by Daniel Carlson. Bryce, I hope that tonight didn't sour your experience in the podcast game. I really want you to come back on Tuesday.
No, I'll definitely be back.
Yeah. All right.
The only way it would
We
be
gotta bring the
soured
same-
is if he had to sit in a Zoom call for an hour with EDP over here.
Fuck you. Fuck
We gotta bring
you.
the same type of flow to every podcast.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Lizzo, which do you prefer, EDP or Lizzo?
For neither, you fucking.
Nah, you got to pick one.
Fuck you. Which
You
do
got
I-
to.
Which do I mean, Jesus Christ. You want me to pick?
Edie Liz
Christ.
PodThot.
I mean, what? I mean, I love PodThot. I love that. But between Lizzo and EDP, you want me to pick a fat pedophile or just a fat fuck? Like,
Whoa,
Jesus
future's
Christ,
female there, buddy. Easy how you talk.
Ooh,
Oh,
it's 2021. We gotta be Deontay. Come on.
Yeah, it's 2021, jerk. We invest in women-owned businesses and crypto. Speaking of crypto, thanks for the YouTube video did a little well last week. We appreciate that. Got a bunch of listens. Made a good video. I put it on TikTok. The FB Analyst on Instagram. Wavelengths Pod, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, the Sports Wave. If you haven't subscribed, I called out Deontay about it. Apparently he did subscribe, but
I've been subscribed.
He was a little hush boy about it, but if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. Need this job.
It's all right. Yeah. He's spending too much time sending pictures of his shit to little girls.
I've sent it to you. Keep talking shit.
All right. Yeah, hopefully the save group will be back on Tuesday. Tova will be here, Tova Tuesday. Yeah, if you listen this far, thanks. You guys have anything else?
Good stream Lizzo music. She needs money.
I love
I keep telling you, he's salty.
Fuck Josh Allen, but I love him, so I'm not too mad.
Washington sports suck ass.
Fuck you either. Go Braves.
All right, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.